Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday from Arni's. Happy birthday to you. Woo!
Welcome to our Arni's birthday Zoom. This is a milestone birthday for Don Coller, and of course, in the Lafayette area, in the Tippecanoe County, surrounding counties, Don Coller is a well-known coach, not only at Purdue, but he's coached at several high schools in the area. And we talked offline about. I said, "Well, what's it feel like to be the big 7-0?" And he said, "Well, I don't know. It's just a new experience." But happy birthday to you, and welcome to our Arni's birthday Zoom.
Thanks, Alan. Good morning.
Yeah, you have that, and I always ask about birthday traditions, whether those were ones growing up or ones with your family now. What do you remember about your birthdays? Probably as much as you've been involved with football over the years, this has always been a football time of year for you. I feel relatively certain. So tell me about that and what that experience was like for you.
Well, I think probably the things that we do now are probably the most important with our two children.
Yeah.
It's usually kind of a respite because you have to take some time off to spend some time with the family, and that's always a good thing at this time of year. So I think just the fact that we have a cake. This year, our daughter is actually, she's in charge of designing the cake. So I really don't know what's going to happen, but she really takes a lot of pride in that kind of stuff. So I'm looking forward to see what she has.
Any special food items that you usually have on the birthday, or even the ones growing up that your folks might have made for you?
No, not really. I don't, we like to have pulled pork and that kind of stuff. Hamburgers, cheeseburgers, but we're not real fancy when it comes to birthdays. Usually, it's not something that we go crazy about. It's more about just having the cake and being with the kids.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, so there is a football game tomorrow, and the big one for Purdue when the Boilermakers take on Nebraska. And you're obviously a pretty keen observer of college football. Been around coaches a lot. An interesting experience because Purdue's going to play interim coaches over the next 2 weeks. Nebraska certainly has at least righted the ship a little bit by winning its last 2 games. As you've watched Purdue this year, and I'm sure watched your share of college football, what do you see about tomorrow night and some of the challenges maybe you can relate from a coaching standpoint of that interim tag and what challenges that may bring not only for Purdue, but maybe for Nebraska?
Yeah, I think one thing has to do with the kickoff time. 7:30, it's a long time to wait to go play the game. I always thought it was good to get up and go play, and now you wait around and you watch other games. I think sometimes you have to be cautious about not getting lethargic. So I think that's difficult for both teams. I think the other thing is that the Nebraska kids, they have something to prove because they've lost the coach that was really responsible for bringing them to that campus. So they have something to prove that way. But Purdue's got a nice team this year. They did a nice job in the transfer portal. And they got some kids that have really made some contributions, but they also have, I think that their offensive line, their defensive line are performing quite well. They're running the ball much better than they have in previous seasons. And I think the defense is making stops when they really need to make them. So they're playing a style of a game that seems to be, they seem to work off of each side of the ball. Not one side's really stronger than the other. It's kind of a mutual type thing, which is really important. There needs to be a balance between those 2 areas, plus including special teams.
You look at you came to Purdue and joined Joe Tiller's staff and administrative staff in 2000. So you're around Drew Brees, but you're also around Kyle Orton and other really good quarterbacks at Purdue. How do you size up Aiden OConnell and what he's done? He's obviously had a lot of success and has worked his way to being not only a regular but one of the top quarterbacks in the Big Ten in the country.
When the first time I saw Aiden throw a ball, it was on TV, and his ball, in terms of the velocity and the spin on the ball, really reminded me of Mark Herman.
Yeah.
But I think his arm strength has gotten better and his velocity is better since last year even. But I think the most important thing, the thing that Joe always talked about was putting the ball within the framework of the body so that the receiver could run with the ball when he caught it.
Yeah.
And Aiden's so accurate, and he puts the ball in the framework all the time. He can put it into really tight windows, and I would say that he's very comparable to all of the great quarterbacks that Purdue's had.
Yeah, you were also involved your first year with Purdue football, 1981, Jim Young's last season, worked with Coach Leon Burnett, met Joe Tiller. I assume that was the first time you would have met Joe Tiller, but tell us a little bit about Jim Young and what working for Jim was like, but also that first meeting with Joe Tiller, what that was like.
The working for Jim Young was a great opportunity for me. I still have the manual that he gave the coaching staff in 1981, and it talked about the relationships between coaches and players, the relationship between the head coach and assistant coaches and head coaches. And then he also had one that he got from Dwight Perry when he played for Dwight Perry at Bowling Green, that talked about the way assistant coaches should prepare, or the way just coaches in general should prepare for practice each day. And I used that every place I ever was with the assistant coaches that I had as a way to help teach them, these are the things that you need to be responsible for every day when you walk onto the practice field. So it was an invaluable experience to work with Coach Young. And then I actually met Coach Tiller in the spring of 1982.
Okay.
He came. I'd been on defense the previous year. I moved to offense. I was working with tackles and tight ends. And so he came during spring ball to watch the beginning of our practices, but then he joined the staff in 83. He was a defensive coordinator, and, football staffs sometimes can be pretty segmented. So we were in our preparation room and they were in their preparation room. Really, except when we had full staff meetings, didn't have a lot of contact with him until I came back in 2000, which was a fantastic opportunity too. He's to work for Coach Tiller. I could have worked for him my entire life. I learned so much from that man, and our family and myself is just greatly indebted to the opportunity he gave us in 2000.
Well, and you were certainly one of his closest confidants. I mean, he, I think, relied on you because he respected you so much for all your coaching experience at the high school level, and the good person that you are too. But it's hard to imagine. It's been 5 years since Joe's passed, but his legacy is still, the good thing about that is that his legacy is pretty secure in terms of where he sits in the history of Purdue football. I mean, it was a magical time to be involved with that, I'm certain, from your perspective.
Oh, absolutely. The kids that we got to meet, the players on the teams, they all had strong personalities, especially the 2000 team. You go across the roster, and on both sides of the ball, I mean, in special teams, there was just so many strong, mentally tough kids that would compete, and they never backed down. And so it was just fun to be around that age group. I really like that age group.
Yeah, we're a little program note that on Monday night we'll be airing a Monday Night Memories show that Don will be a part of as well. With the 2000 guys in the 2000 team, and Purdue's magical run through October, 4 straight wins that really catapulted Purdue to Pasadena. An amazing story and a lot of fun memories with those guys, I'm certain. But you talk about the way a football season unfolds, and for us lay people, us that we didn't coach, it's an interesting dynamic that week in, week out, whether you're coaching high school or around college guys. What has been you're just the maintaining equilibrium, maintaining focus? What have you learned in your days of not only being around high school kids, but college kids to keep them trying to keep that performance good week in and week out? That's not an easy thing from our coaching staff, I would think.
I think that one of the things that's important is the rhythm of the week. You try to do certain things on certain days so that the kids, they have an expectation of what they're going to be expected to do each day. So you're working on fundamentals and basic techniques, but you're also working on that particular opponent and the things that you're going to have to work for to win that game on either Friday night or Saturday afternoon. And so You just have to be, on Tuesdays you do things, on Wednesdays you do things, Thursdays, and you just try to be very, it's very routine oriented. And when you change that routine, it's difficult on the coaches, and I think it's difficult on the players too.
Yeah, no question. All right. And one of the things, you were involved with recruiting a lot with Joe Tiller. It is a crazy world out there now with the transfer portal, social media, which was just starting to get going in your day, but I don't think Twitter had really started before you ended your time on Joe Tiller's staff. But how do you, what fundamentals, is it still the same fabric that makes a good coach back when you were coaching that makes a good one today? Or is it also a case of being able to focus and be able to deal with all the plates in the air? I mean, how do you see that from today's 2022 coach and what he has to deal with?
I would imagine, and it's been a while since I've been involved, but I would imagine the recruiting staffs, the recruiting departments have just really blossomed. I mean, everybody has the personnel, and they have multiple people. Back when I was doing it, you had a recruiting coordinator, and that was really it. And now you didn't have a recruiting department. You didn't have people that were working in certain specific areas geographically and communicating with the prospective athletes. So, but the individual coaches still have to do that. And I think it's a really hard balance for coaches to recruit an area on their own and coach their position group and so forth. So I think that it's probably the same thing. The difference is, I think now, is that it's every day. We used to have recruiting meetings maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks during the season. We didn't do that. And I think they have recruiting meetings at least once a week, if not multiple times during a week now, where they spend time. Hey, we need to work on this guy. We need to do this. What direction we're going to go here. And it's just so much more intense in the recruiting area that there's a reason why they have those recruiting staffs now.
Yeah, no question. It's a posse of people to get that done in today's world. All right, Don, we wish you a happy birthday. Enjoy the big day and enjoy your family most of all. And hopefully for tomorrow night, from the Purdue perspective, it'll be I'm sure it's going to be an entertaining game. What do you expect to see when Purdue gets out there and Jeff Brom's staff? It's usually pretty entertaining football.
Absolutely. It will be entertaining football. They do a nice job of throwing the ball. I think they do a really good job of structuring their offensive attack to their opponent. And I look forward to seeing what they do there. And I think the defense is really playing strong. They're bringing pressures and they're doing things, and they're playing very aggressive in the secondary. So it'll be interesting to see how the Nebraska kids handle Purdue.
Yeah, guy, last thing, Mark Hagan, obviously, he's made that well, is making a big difference with this staff. He's done a terrific job with that defensive line.
Mark is an excellent football coach, and he's an excellent recruiter. I was really pleased when Mark came back to Purdue, because I knew that the defensive line would be in good hands, and he does an excellent, like I said, an excellent job recruiting. He really reminds me of a guy by the name of Randy Hart.
Yeah, remember Randy?
Coached for Jim Young. Yeah, and he was very intense coach and an excellent player, and spent 50 years as a college assistant coach. So those two guys really remind me of the same thing, and their intensity and how they played, and they were both excellent players in college.
Yeah, great comparison. And Randy Hart, remember his career well, and a very good Jim Young staff defensively, especially in his early days with the Mike Hankwitz of the world and the Randy Harts and on down the line. So, hey, have a great birthday, my friend. And we are privileged to celebrate a little bit of it with you, and best to you and your family. And we'll enjoy watching the game tomorrow night.
Thanks, Alan. It's my privilege to talk to you too. Thank you.